Why isn't it wanting to go live?
In here, everybody. Welcome to the cafe. This is Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
And this is Frelin Arts, subprime hero.
And we are brewing solutions on the Car Guy Coffee podcast with this guy. Check that out right there. Everybody freeze that. That's what's happening right now. We are live.
Man, I'm so excited.
This is exciting.
This guy is an amazing speaker. If you guys have not seen him at one of the conventions, got some education from him. He doesn't just bring education, he brings edutainment. And it's so much fun. He uses movie references quite a bit, so I'm excited. And one of my favorite movies out there is Star Wars. And I do have my lightsaber that I got to build at Disney World this past year. It's so much fun. I'm so cool.
And I'm so jealous.
Yeah, right? Oh, yeah, that's right. So that being said, I'm excited to have this guy on the show. He brings all the energy, he brings all the fun, but he brings so much knowledge. This guy is the best that I know in the area, in the world, in the whole universe. At SEO and so much more, man. He kills it with that stuff. The way he brings it and the education that he brings makes your mind start melting. You're like, dude, how did I not think of that?
Almost like a Jedi.
Very much so. Very, I mean, very much. I would call him the Yoda of SEO. Let's go, man. I love it, lad. Let's make it happen. I'm excited to have this guy on the I'm excited about this. All right.
Let's
get this thing going. I'm excited.
Car gals, help us to make welcome, but you got to do yourself a favor.
Yes.
You got to do your friends a favor. You got to do the automotive industry a favor and tag a car guy. Tag a car gal.
Do it.
And share.
That's
Get
right.
This out there so
Get
that
it
we
going.
can be brewing with the best. We got some good stuff inside of the cafe, so let's not do this anymore.
Man, come on now.
Car gals,
that's right.
Go.
Let's go. We got the vice president of search from SearchLab. Come on now. Let's go. We got the one, the only, Greg Gifford. That's right.
Welcome to the show. What's going on?
I gotta tell you, I'm super jealous about that lightsaber. I've tried to do it 3 times. I've never been able to get an appointment to do it, so I'm pretty jealous.
I have one right in front of me.
Not only did we get to make it, but 3 of us got to make it. We did not have an appointment. I can give you a lot of tips on how to do it, but it's never guaranteed, right? But we are very fortunate, and yes, I feel like such a stud because I have mine. I got to really do the whole experience. But anyway,
well.
Yes.
I got to show you. I do have my own lightsaber, though. I got to do this carefully. But
snap!
Dude, that's sick, y'all. He's got some really, really nice work on his arms. If you guys haven't seen him in person, check him out. When you get to Digital Dealer, he's going to be there. Be very kind. He does have a broken rib, so hugs and stuff like that may be limited.
No hugs.
Bumps.
But what I could tell you is that you can come, he'll show you his artwork on his arms, but most importantly, the information that he can give you is mind-blowing. I'm telling you, he is ahead of everyone by at least a week. I'm telling you, most people, decades. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's always on top of the game. Like, when you think you've caught up, you just call Greg. Greg's like, no, man, you also this. So I love that about you, man. I'm excited to have you on the show, Greg. We are pumped up, man. This is long overdue. We got to meet you last year at the CIADA when we were at the mastermind, and you came up and you crushed. Shout out to Tracy and Troy. That's right. And Arnold out there. What's up, brother? So no, I mean, great stuff. Brother, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Hey, man, I'm glad we're finally able to figure out a date and make this happen.
No doubt about it. So Lou, break them down. You know what the initiation is.
Well, you know what we need to do, car guys and car gals. As we are brewing with the best, we want to make sure that we are doing what it takes to keep growing. And that is get this 5-liner underway with this solutionary, but we got to be flying together. So cheers to all of you that are listening to this on the podcast, listening to this live on YouTube, Instagram, live on LinkedIn and on Facebook. But help us out, because even if you're driving, you can throw one hand on it. If you're on the injury list, you can put one hand on it and forgive, focus, fly with us. And that is by applying a forgive, a focus, and a fly.
But if you only have one arm, like our man Greg today with his ribs, you're going to
do a one-sided.
If you go
and then hit the other side backwards.
I love it. Yeah. Go. So you just have to do it. It's about that mindset. And man, I'm excited to do this.
Steps on the chest right there. Forgive, focus, and fly.
That's right.
Let's go, everybody. Car guys and car gals, help us to make welcome this solutionary that is flying with us here on the Car Guy Coffee Podcast. Let's get this rocking on 3. 1, 2, 3. Forgive.
Focus. Fly and keep growing. That's
there
right, bro. Let's go.
Now we are
I'm
ready
excited to know what's getting ready to happen,
show.
man. Yeah, this is great. So we do these 5 questions. We call it the 5-liner. You know, in the car industry, the 5-liner is like a quick little, let me get the customer's information. Let's see what we have. Let's get them pre-qualified. So much like that, we have 5 questions we love to ask everyone that comes on the show. I do believe it shows others how great this industry is and how great the people are, but not just in sales. There's so much to this industry, so many facets and so many different angles that are very important, that make sales better, to actually bring us to the future, keeps us ahead of the game, right? And so, Greg, my first question for you is, what's your why? What's your purpose? What drives you every single day to get up and just be the best version of yourself and keep growing?
You know, I love what I do. I really, truly love my job. I found a job that I'm absolutely passionate about. I don't mind working tons of hours because my job's not really work. And the main thing is my job allows me to actually help businesses. Now, we're mostly car dealers. We do have some stuff outside of automotive, but just in general, doing the things that we do affect these people's bottom lines. It helps them grow their business, grow their dealership, you know, go on vacation, put their kids through college. Like, it's not like we're just selling, you know, some crappy product or service. Like, the things that we do actually affect people's lives and help people live a better life. And that's what's really cool about it.
I mean, a solutionary. That's what I hear, everybody, is that he wants to find a way, and he is fulfilled by finding solutions for other people. And that's so much what it is that you do. I mean, literally, you have a lab.
No doubt.
For the searching of the clients that you look for, right? This is what you look up. I love it.
You know, but it's true. You know, when you have a passion for those types of things, it can really grow and it helps you. What it does is it fulfills you in so many different ways, not just in your job, but you get to travel the world and speak about what you do. I mean, you really are a figure in this industry, and it's amazing. So tell us, I mean, just a little side note, tell us of some places that have been really amazing for you to be able to get outside and go do something that's a little bit uncomfortable.
Oh, man. Favorite place I've ever been.
Yeah, let's go.
At this point, most likely never get to go again, which is absolutely heartbreaking, is St. Petersburg, Russia. I got to go twice. Once in the winter, ridiculously cold. It was -42 while we were waiting for our cab one night. That was not okay. But then went back in the summer for White Nights when the sun doesn't go down. It was amazing. Great city, amazing architecture, like so many cool people. But obviously with the state of the world today, won't get to do that again. I've gotten to do a conference in Slovenia, which is right next door to Italy. So we flew into the Venice airport. My wife and I got to spend a week in Venice before the conference. That was amazing. I got to go to Australia for a conference. So, most of the international stuff that I do, I'll take my wife along because all I have to do is get an extra plane ticket for her and we get a cool little vacation out of it. And so the Australia trip, we took an extra week and went up to Brisbane and went to a koala sanctuary. So like I got to hold a koala bear and we got to go into this like sanctuary part for kangaroos, and you literally get a bag of food and go into, it's like the size of 2 football fields. You're just walking around. It's not like they're in a cage and you're feeding them. You're in this big open area just hanging out with kangaroos. Like it was mind-blowingly cool. Where else have I gone?
Let's make them all.
I've been to the UK a million times, been to Ireland a couple times, love Ireland. Been to Germany, been to the Netherlands, so been to France, like been all over the place. When COVID hit in 2020, even though it was March, I already had 28 conferences booked in 8 different countries. So I would have done, let's see, what was I doing? I had Dubai, Singapore, Australia, Ireland, UK, Russia, Ukraine, and Slovenia already on the books. And I won't get to do that Kiev conference ever. And that one was really cool too, because a lot of these international shows will take the speaker and their spouse on a tour the day after the conference. And that conference, the day after, we were going to get to do a day tour of Chernobyl, which would have been ridiculously cool, but won't get to do that either.
But dude, listen to all those amazing places you and your wife got to travel across the world, speak about what you love. That is what the passion of doing things that you really want to do, having a true why and really living up to that why, right? Giving every single day the opportunity. I know you put in work to do what you do, and to know what you know isn't something that just happens. You didn't just like wake up one day like on the Matrix and they input it in your head and all of a sudden you had all this data in your brain, right? No, you had to go in and learn about it. Not only do you learn about it, but you try to stay on that edge, right? I'm assuming that's
not really accurate.
Ooh.
I mean, what it comes down to is about a year ago, I read SEO for Dummies and just kind of went from there.
Yeah, that's wow. Hey, hey, listen. I love that. I love that. Obviously there's some sarcasm in the room today, folks, and that's okay. And I love that. And I'm sure you probably did read some things like that too, because that's what you do. You soak like a sponge. You want to make sure that
I mean, this started years and years ago. I mean, I spent 12 and a half years specifically doing SEO for car dealers, like automotive only. I've been speaking at conferences for over a decade. I've been speaking internationally for 7 or 8 years at this point. So, I mean, it's definitely something that took a while and a lot of work to get to. But
you've been doing it for a long time. You did 7 years, over almost 8 years with Revo, excuse me.
Yep.
4 years with Dealer On. You know what I mean? Yep. Like you definitely know what's going on. You've been on the edge. You've been putting it there, and you've always rise in the ranks wherever you win. Also, right? And now that you're out here and you're doing some big things, you're here as the vice president of search for SearchLab, and SearchLab is. Man, the buzz about you guys is huge. It's really exciting. So the question, I guess, I'm going to pass this to Lou because this leads us right into perfect for him. Elliot for the second one.
Number 2, as much as there's so much that's calculated in what you're doing, and I'm a firm believer that your gift is going to make room for you. So it's prepared stages for you. It's prepared conferences for you. It's opened up many doors for what it is that you are skilled at. And again, there's not a lot of fumbling around or a lot of misguided direction that you're taking, but a lot of us do fumble our way into the automotive industry. We just, we got here. How did that happen? Right? How is it that you actually got to the automotive industry?
So if you guys remember back in the day when they had Flash and you had all the crazy Flash intros for websites, that's how I kind of started doing websites. So way back in the day, I was kind of self-taught on computers, and my college roommate was starting his own business and said, "Hey man, can you make me a website?" And I said, "Sure. Yeah, I figured this stuff out. I'll make you one." And in that same conversation, another friend was like, "Hey, there's this new thing by a company called Macromedia, and it's called Flash, and it's really cool." And so I was a film major in college. And at the time, everybody else was trying to make regular HTML looking websites that just had some animated elements. but Flash was at the time not very code based and more of just kind of graphics and animation, but it was exactly like doing editing on film, which is what I had just gotten out of school doing. So I started making these sites, and they were like, now you look back and go, oh my God, I'm the one that contributed to the downfall of the internet, because they were horrible. But at the time, everybody loved these intros. And so I started doing that. And then I started my own company and did that for a while, and then folded that in with some friends of mine. We had a bigger company doing that. And then things didn't go as well. And so we ended up, I needed to find a gig, and I started doing interviews, and it came down to two places. Match.com is actually headquartered in Dallas. I almost went to work at Match.com, but it was Match.com versus Autorevo. And the guys at Autorevo were just really cool. And even though I got a better offer for salary at Match.com, I was just a cog in the wheel there. And Autorevo, I knew I'd be able to like do things and have more autonomy in doing what, you know, would be best for clients. So I ended up going there, and that's how I got into automotive. And, you know, I kind of fell in love, and, you know, spent the next 12 years doing only automotive stuff.
That's amazing. And
Cool.
and thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I know many dealers and many managers, many people out there in this industry are very thankful that you're in here for many reasons. You know, it's not just what you teach them, it's how you teach them. You bring entertainment to it. Like, it's so boring. I go to a lot of these conventions, and no offense, and I'm not even going to say names, but sometimes you watch somebody and they agree. Information's wonderful, and I'm a note taker, so I'll take it. But man, I need coffee every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, man.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal sometimes, where, you know, and it's not as bad in automotive as it is outside of automotive, because I do a lot of these other, you know, like attorney specific conferences, or just digital marketing conferences where other SEOs are learning to do SEO. And some of these people are ridiculously smart, way smarter than me, but they're just not great at presenting. And like you said, the information's awesome and you can take lots of notes, but man, it's just like such a drag to sit through a 30 or 45-minute presentation when the person's just basically sitting there reading their own slides on stage.
Right. And there's an art to it, much like teaching, right? There's some great teachers that if you get into a classroom, right, this is the teacher that lights it up. May not be the smartest, may not be the strictest, actually probably is the one that most of the kids want to go hang with, you know what I mean? Right. And wishes they were in all the classes, but there is an element to your presentation. And that's so key. If anybody wants to take notes on a presentation, I highly advise that you jump inside of the room at NADA, at Digital Dealer, at any place that you can see this incredible solutionary doing his thing, whether you're in South Carolina, wherever it is, anywhere. If you want to learn how to do a presentation that is effective, pay attention to what Greg is doing, because it is an art to making sure that you make it memorable, no doubt, educational, and people leave with it, right? Nobody can ignore that they've seen you or heard you once they've seen you on the stage. And that is something that we can't say for everybody that we've seen, right? And there's an element also of raw, true, let's get down to the nitty gritty that wakes you up. I love it, because not everybody's ready for the truth that socks them in the face real fast and then hits them with but that was funny though, right? Wipe your lip, eat it, let's go. You know what I mean? And keep it going. But seriously, welcome to the automotive, and thank you for being that guy that's always here, making sure to really rattle the cage of all of our thinking, right? Because it's not just the people that are on the tech end, right? It's the dealers, it's the people making decisions, it's the ones that actually need to understand from the customer side of it what you need to be talking about so that you remain relevant. And you've done it, whether it was a flash site, HTML, right? Staying relevant is the key always, right? With our kids and everything else that we deal with, making sure that we remain relevant in what's happening now, because now has just expired. Now has just got behind us, right? And it's so important that we stay ahead of the game. And like Fred said, you know, you're a week ahead or you're eons ahead, right? There's so
always
much
ahead. There's value in somebody a week ahead of you, right? There's always that value. So
yeah, for sure.
Those top-notch people, and if you're a week ahead of them, you are valued. You're that 1%er, right? And then if you stay light years ahead of most is what happens when you're like that. So that's why what you bring is very important. And, you know, and you've learned this, and I know that you've had people along the way that you can consider mentors, and you've been able to mentor people now too. And that's a beautiful thing. You get to pass on that legacy of growth, that legacy of, you know, thinking differently, that legacy of diversity. Let me ask you, for you, who have been some great mentors along the way that helped you become who you are today?
Oh, geez. I mean, I think, gotta think back, man. I really, back in the day when I started to speak at conferences, one of my kind of initial thought process things that went through my head was, I like this. I know I can be good at this. What do I need to do to be at the top of
Mm,
my game? And so I
mm,
talked to several people, and Rand Fishkin, who a lot of people will know outside of automotive, or even in automotive, know, but he's a guy that started Moz, which is a big SEO tool set. Uh, I really liked his speaking style. And so, I chatted with him about some things, and he was great. I really enjoy Will Reynolds, who owns an agency called Sear Interactive. He speaks at a lot of digital marketing events. That was huge. I got to be friends with the guys that run PubCon. Brett Tabke and Joe Laracho. They helped me a lot over the years. A lot of it is more me knowing, okay, I want to be the best I can be at speaking specifically when I go to all these events. Cause I do 35 to 40 conferences a year. And so when I'm going to that many conferences, you see the same stuff over and over again. So it's not like you're really learning anything because you just heard somebody else talk about it a week ago or a month ago or 6 months ago or whatever it would be. But my whole thing is I go in and I sit in on these presentations and I watch the speakers and how they're speaking. It doesn't matter. They could be reading a phone book, but it's taking, note of vocal inflection and the way that they tell a
mm,
story, because that's a big part of the presentation is
Mhm.
have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and not just get up there and read off a bunch of data. So, the storytelling aspect, the vocal inflection, the way that you interact with the crowd, those are all really important. And those are the things that really kind of take a speaker to the next level. So you're not just up on stage sharing great stuff, you're engaging with the audience and
mm.
you're kind of keeping them wrapped. And so
Yep.
that was what really helped me in the beginning. And then, when it came down to like SEO knowledge, uh I became friends with Darren Shaw, who's a guy that runs White Spark, which is a local SEO tool set. I became friends with him years ago. And, some of the other big name local SEO people, Dana DiTomaso, Joy
Mm.
Hawkins, Mike Ramsey, a lot of these people I kind of became friends with over the years. And, you end up learning more at these conferences at the party afterwards or at dinner than you
Mhm.
do at the actual conference, because that's where you're going and sitting with all of these ridiculously smart people and just chatting over random stuff instead of I'm going to go listen to what they decided to put into a 30-minute presentation.
There's no doubt. I agree with that so much. The conversations that you have at dinner, that's why it's important to choose the right people to have dinner with. I agree.
Mhm.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
like when you have that right table, you will leave mind blown. You will leave there with
Yeah.
so much knowledge and a new relationship with people. A lot of times you don't realize what people have to offer, or sometimes you don't realize what you have to offer others until you have that conversation. And when it's a two-way street is when that relationship gets super strong, right? And
Yep.
when you can get that and apply that into your daily life, that's when you become superheroes and
Yep.
or a subprime hero. But it's true though. I absolutely soak those in. I look for those moments. I definitely am feeding off of those type of things. And I love to be able to be part of a table that's like when I hear, hey, tonight dinner is going to be at this place and this folks and this lady and this guy and all these people are going to be there. I'm like, oh my God, I got to be at that
Yeah,
table.
that's when you were like, okay, how do I get in on this dinner? Like, who do I know that can hook me
Start
up?
walking up. Hey guys, what's going on, man?
Where are you eating tonight?
But it is, and it's always fun to be part of those conversations. You're so right. The conventions you only get to get bite sizes. This is where you go get the whole meal, and that's it. It's those things, those moments, those types of things that really sharpen you up. Iron sharpens iron is what they say, and I love that you find that, and that's how you find mentorship through that. The conversations, you get tips, you take a piece, you go off and you use it, and next thing you know, you pile up a body of work that's a case study for anyone to watch and see that you've done, and now have proof that, hey, I can do this for you and I can do
Yep.
it at an elite level. And I love that. And it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It truly is. We all are a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I'm honored to be part of that, Lou, but through that we learn lessons, right, Lou?
No, we learn lots of lessons. Inside of that, understanding the importance of the seeds that are sown at those conferences, during the time that a convention hall is open or an exhibit hall, or the time that you have on the stage, right? Inside of those moments, you are sprinkling out seeds that you are waiting to try to cultivate at different times. And that's why it's important to have those intimate times at the table to discuss some of the questions that people have based off of the way you maybe triggered their mind to think, or the ideas that you sowed.
Exactly.
You're sowing seeds. And that's what we love about these events, is that it's not so much that there's some people are able to take in a harvest, right? Some people are able to lock down, close business right there on the spot at those events, and that's great. And sometimes that's awesome. But for the most part, you have a short amount of time, lots of open pods for you to deposit into, right? And then get back to that, water those seeds, love on those seeds, give light to those seeds, right? And then determine what it is that you want to grow. And there's a seed time harvest lesson inside of that. And these are things that we're learning, right? We're starting to understand, okay, this is how the timing has to go. We only have so much time. This is this how many people are here, and we have this that we need to get to our people. And at the same time, we still want to high five, hug, and just shoot the breeze with as many people as we can and that we love, right? So that's something that we're learning, and we're getting our rhythm inside of that too. We love seeing you there. I mean, again, you're a consistent face that we're seeing everywhere that we go, and that's awesome. And it always makes us feel better when you have a familiar face. But what are some of the lessons that people like us, other people that are in industry that haven't been doing it as much as you? I mean, goodness, you have so many reps you're getting in at this. What were some of the hardest lessons you've had to learn going through this, or so far in your career?
About speaking?
No, about being at the events. The hardest lesson that you've had,
just everything
just inside of your
the
career.
business in your career.
The most important lesson is comfortable shoes, man.
Oh,
Because these events are brutal if you don't have comfortable shoes.
Amen.
So that was the first thing I learned way back in the day, was comfortable shoes. The other thing is, don't try too hard. A good friend of mine, I got a t-shirt with this on it because he had the same t-shirt, and it said, if you're not helping people, you're just selling something. And I think a lot of people get lost in that at these events, because like you said, you have a very short period of time to try to connect with people and to try to get that lead to close. And some people are way too aggressive, and you got to realize that you're literally, like you said, you're planting a seed at the event, and you got to nurture that seed after the event. If you try too hard to get that seed to grow at the event, then you blow the opportunity and you look like you're just trying to sell something, and you're not really there to try to help with whatever problem that person might have. So it's almost more of a slow approach, a softer approach of, hey, look, I'm here to help, and I'd love to help you, and here's the solution I have that could help with your problem. But you know what? You do your own due diligence and figure out when it's right for you to make that decision. Because if you just put that high pressure sales tactics into play, it doesn't work most of the time. So comfortable shoes, softer touch. And then another big one was go to those parties afterwards, go to those dinners afterwards. Because especially if you're at an event and at a booth all day long, you know, you're at the booth at Digital Dealer, NADA, or whatever it might be. You show up at 8 o'clock in the morning and you're not done until 6. And then you got to go to a dinner, and then there's parties and events afterwards, and you're just tired and you don't want to do it because you got to get up and do the whole thing the next day again. But like we said a couple of minutes back, those after hours events that aren't at the conference center are probably the most important pieces of the puzzle. So you kind of have to pace yourself, drink a lot of water, especially if you're in Vegas, because people don't realize that you get really dehydrated just from being in Vegas. So drink a lot of water. Don't go too crazy with the parties, because you're going to have to get up and do it again the next day. So those are kind of the most important lessons, I would say.
Yeah, you obviously experienced. I definitely know those feelings. Vegas, I remember the first time I left with such chapped lips and cramps for days. Oh, I didn't feel good. I was like, I done messed up myself, you know, but I learned my lesson. I drink a lot of water when I'm there now. I chap my lips. It's like my go-to every morning. I get ready before we go. I put chapstick on. I get this. I'm like ready to go.
And I never use chapstick anywhere in my life except when I go to Vegas. But every time I go to Vegas, I have a thing of chapstick that I keep in my little bag, because I know in Vegas my lips are going to get dry, and if I don't do anything, then it's all crusty and nasty, and painful.
Dude, and for like a week
funny.
after you leave there, you're sitting there trying to heal them, and you're so upset. You're like, dude,
I should have got the chapstick.
but so I learned my lesson. I need to not do that. But no,
Ooh, another important lesson.
Ooh, let's go.
If you do anything overseas, one of the biggest mistakes people make with jet lag is once you get overseas, whichever direction you're going, you always think you're looking at what time it is, and you're in your head thinking, okay, back home, it's noon or whatever. And, you know, you're in Europe, so it's 6 or 7 o'clock at night. And every time in your head, you keep going, okay, it's 6 hours different. It's 6 hours different. Some people don't even change their watch. You got to not do that. Like literally as soon as the plane takes off, I make sure my watch gets switched over to the target time zone. And then I just have kind of in my head, I know, okay, I need to call my kids at this time during the day because that's when they're going to be available. But if you keep thinking in your head, here's what the time is back home, it messes with your brain and you don't adjust. And if you adjust to that time and think in that time, it's weird, but you're much less jet lagged.
Love that tip. That's
tip.
facts. And it works. You know, I do something very similar. So, you know, you're right. It does help me because you got to get your mindset in that because everything is timed on that time. Everything you're going to do is based off that time. So if you're still living in the time zone that you're coming from, it's not going to work for you. You're going to really you're going to find excuses. I love that. It's a great mindset tip, but it's also the way to get you going. And that's something special about that. That's experience, my friends. And that comes from all the stuff that we do in this industry.
Whole lot of experience.
As we're growing, as we're learning, we've talked about your whys. We've talked about the what got you in this industry. Thank goodness you came in. You know, I think you would have helped in this industry one way or the other because of how powerful of what you know in this career field, in this subject, especially. It spreads so much further than automotive, right? And you know that. And so it would eventually pour into automotive one way or the other, but I'm glad you put a lot of time in this industry and we appreciate that. We've talked about your mentor and how you've been mentored by watching others and seeking from others and having conversations at dinner, learning from each other. We've talked about lessons and things that you need to know and tips that you give. I love it because it's so true. I should have talked to you a year ago, right? But last but not least, you know, we haven't talked about, and what I'm going to ask you next is what has been the greatest reward for everything that you've done up to this point? What has been the thing that you just feel the most like, this is why I did it. I'm so glad I did it.
Well, I mean, like I said at the beginning, it's really cool that I'm actually able to help people. You know, I do a lot of conferences every year that I come back to the same conference. And when I come back and somebody's like, man, I saw you talk like 2 or 3 years ago, and I went back and I did all this stuff. And, you know, at the time it was just me, and now there's a team of 5 people and we've grown our business, and, you know, I'm able to put my kids through college. I was able to buy a new house. Like, that's always really cool. But I mean, if I'm going to be really honest, the most rewarding part is the fact that I'm so blessed to be a popular speaker and that I get to go to all of these cool places. It's a little bit of a trade-off because it does mean I'm gone from my kids and my pets. I got 10 pets at home, so it's crazy. But gone from my kids and my pets a lot. But it's also incredibly rewarding that on all these international trips, I get to bring my wife, and we've been to some amazing places that were it not for the fact that I was a popular speaker and I got to go to all these events, I would have never been to Russia. I don't know that I ever would have gone to Italy. I for sure wouldn't have gone to Slovenia. I probably never would have. I went to Germany 20 years ago. I'd probably never go back to there. You know, wouldn't get to go to the UK 5 or 6 times a year. Wouldn't get to go to Ireland, would never have gone to Australia. So it's been really cool to travel the world and be exposed to all the history and all the different culture and all the amazing food and the different people and all that I probably never would have gotten to do if I'd had a standard 9-to-5 office job and just worked out of my cubicle.
Boom. I love that. 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 This is what I'm talking about, my friends. This is why this industry is so great. This is why the people in this industry are not crooks, are not bad people. We don't try to steal. We try to help. We try to educate. We try to do our best to make this business better, not just for us, but for everyone that's involved in this industry. We want it to the customers that are coming in, their kids, to see that this industry is great. So when they buy cars, it's not so stressful. You know, I'm tired of hearing about, oh, you guys lie, you cheat, you steal, you do all these things. We don't. We got great people like Greg, who has a family that he absolutely loves, takes his wife all over the world because he goes out and shares the knowledge that he's learned from this industry, from teaching people how to do things in this industry, from learning from others in this industry and sharing what he's done, the tips. He's doing it all, and he's going around talking about it, and he's showing people these things. He's staying on top. That's how you hold yourself accountable. I'm telling you, when you have to lead, you have to constantly talk about it. You're not going to just talk about the same thing for 20 years. Similar, but you're going to talk about what's going on now. So you have to constantly be constantly doing that new upload for your brain, right? And I love that. And that is such an exhilarating thing. It's so fulfilling. Man, oh man, oh man. Greg, this 5-liner was fantastic. Lou, I know that, you probably have something to say here because you always do. That's my man. We all know Lou. And I love that about Lou because one thing about you, Greg, is that you inspire us, man. Like I said at the beginning of the show, watching you on stage, the way you presented the product, the way you presented your knowledge, I should say, which is a product. And I believe what I saw, my mind was, I learned. I normally would just barely pay attention and maybe write a couple things down. But the whole time I smiled, I laughed, I was entertained. I almost wanted to stand up. I probably did give you a standing ovation because that's just who I am. I probably did. I probably yeah, my God, Greg, that's what I'm talking about, right? Because it was that fun. And I know that because I've seen it a couple times. And I know that both times it's fantastic. And I can't wait to see the next one. And guess what? Both of them had a similar feel because it's Greg, but they were different. And that's what's so cool, folks. You're going to see the change. So if you've seen him before, come see him again. It's going to be amazing. You're going to enjoy it. Tell everybody how to get where you're going to be at Digital Dealer and what is the best time to come see you.
So I want to say it's room 121, I think, but it is Tuesday at 1:20, and I'm one of the few people that actually gets to do a back-to-back double session. So I've got 2 hours. So it's 1:20 to 3:30. So it's 2 full hours. So it's even more of the Greg Gifford show than what you guys have seen in the past. So they literally let me treat it like one continuous thing, and I don't even really stop in the middle. It's just 2 hours of great stuff. So that's next Tuesday. So yeah, I'm excited for that. It's fun.
Dude, so pay attention, car guys and car gals, because before he gets to do that, we will be announcing where he is. You're going to know exactly that it's coming. We are going to be live at Digital Dealer, letting you know that Greg is about to take the stage and do his thing. And brother, we cannot wait. We cannot wait to see you out there. But there's so much that's on not just us here. There's so many that are listening. There's so many that are going to hear this later on the replay. We're doing this at a time that most of you car guys and car gals are getting your month started. We're so excited that we get the chance to bring this quality brew to you at a key time. But if you are going to Digital Dealer, you got to make sure to put it on your calendar that you have to see Greg live. If you haven't seen him yet, it's probably one of the better shows you'll get to see just as far as shows go. Okay, he's taken his degree, he's taken what it is that he's trained in, and he's programmed it to make sure that he connects you in your senses to an experience that is not just going to mark you, but it's also going to point you towards true solutions inside of your business. And we're excited about it. That is some quality car guy coffee that you're brewing, brother. And we honor you. We appreciate you. We definitely want to make sure that we keep this conversation going. But I'm telling you guys, gals, listen, pay attention to what he's saying. Pay attention to how he's saying it and take some notes. For those of you that are vendors, pay attention to what he's doing. Pay attention to how he's connecting. If you want to upshift and uplift your message for others, see what Greg is doing. He's Mr. Worldwide over here, right? He knows what's going on. He's seen it in every kind of culture, every kind of an event, and you owe it to yourself to get trained by the best just by watching him in action. And we can't wait to see it. We might even bring the lightsaber. I don't know. You're going to bring the lightsaber? I'm going to. You might bring it.
There's no doubt about it. And with this lightsaber, I am going to deem him 100%.
Oh man, here we go.
So
we got to do it.
My friends, people out there, all you out there, everybody,
our friend
is 100%
CGC approved.
You know the deal. Hey, thank you so much for being on the show today. Thank you for bringing that energy that you always do. It's so nice to learn more about who you are and where you came from, man. I'm looking forward to learning even more. I can't wait to see you at Digital Dealer. We will be there. We will be checking it out. Folks, we're going to be there as press. So we're going to be all over the place. We're not going to be at any particular booth like we normally are, making a ruckus happen. We're going to be around at all y'all's booths.
Everybody's
making a ruckus happen. So, hey, they gave us a press pass. tell Digital Dealer they tell them that they made the best decision ever, right? And we're gonna have a great time. We'll see you all out there. We're excited. Greg, any last words before we get out of here, brother?
No, that's it, man. Thanks for getting me on the show, and I'm glad we worked the dates out finally. You know, we've been talking about this for like 7-8 months now. So
yeah,
cool
no doubt.
and
I'm going to formally invite you to a solution session. We'll talk about SEO. We'll talk about a lot of things like that during the show, and I'll bring on some other people. Maybe you could even suggest some people that might want to come on.
Killer.
I like to get a panel of like 3 to 4 people. All we do is moderate it and let you all speak. It's going to be a great time. I'll reach out to you about that, but we'll see you at Digital Dealer. Maybe we'll talk about it then. Hey, brother, be good, be safe, be blessed. Everyone out there, I am Fred Lenartz, the subprime hero.
And I'm Lou Ramirez, the car guy. And you have been brewing solutions on the Car Guy Coffee podcast with the one,
the only, Greg Gifford.
Get you some, everybody. We out.